Picture this. You're standing in a desolate limestone cave in the rugged hills of Morocco. It's exactly 315,000 years ago. The sun's going down, casting these long, eerie shadows. And in the flickering amber glow of a freshly struck fire, you lock eyes with someone. Take a second to really visualize that, because, well, this isn't the heavy-browed, ape-like ancestor you probably remember from those old natural history museum dioramas. No. You're looking at someone who has your high cheekbones, your small, flat nose, and your distinctly delicate jaw.
In that flickering firelight, you are essentially staring at your own reflection across a mind-boggling abyss of 300 millennia. But here's the massive problem. According to literally every evolutionary textbook you've ever read, this person, this specific face, shouldn't exist yet. Not even close. Their presence in this specific era, it's kind of the archaeological equivalent of finding a modern smartphone buried alongside an ancient Egyptian mummy. It breaks all the rules we thought we knew.
See, for decades, the story of our origins was basically a closed file. We were taught this very comforting, straightforward, linear narrative. Humanity was born in a single, localized cradle in East Africa, roughly 200,000 years ago, and from there, we just slowly marched toward progress. It gave us a clear starting point, right? But this massive discovery we're exploring in today's explainer, it shifted that entire timeline back to 315,000 years. It completely demolished that linear story, fundamentally changing the math on what it means to be human, and proving our history is way, way deeper than we ever dared to guess.
Reopening the cold case. To figure out how everything changed so dramatically, we really have to treat human evolution like a deep-time detective story and head back to the original archaeological crime scene.
So, our story actually starts way back in 1961. A group of bright miners are blasting through a Moroccan hillside at a site called Jebel Irhoud, and they hit bone. Lots of it. But here's the thing. At the time, the scientific world just wasn't ready for what they'd found. In a wildly tragic bit of historical irony, the remains were miscategorized as just some, odd-looking Neanderthals, boxed up and left to collect dust on a shelf for nearly 40 years. It wasn't until 2004 that paleoanthropologist Jean-Jacques Hublin reopened the case. He realized these suspects didn't fit the typical Neanderthal profile at all. The faces were simply too flat, and the teeth were way too small. This agonizingly long wait eventually led to a massive re-excavation that culminated in the groundbreaking 2017 revelations.
Hublin's investigative team didn't just dig. They brought the absolute latest forensic tools of deep time directly to the site. By using thermoluminescence, which is this brilliant technique that measures accumulated radiation in ancient heated artifacts, alongside electron spin resonance, they accurately dated the flint tools buried right next to the skulls. And the results? Well, they weren't just a surprise. They were a career-defining shockwave that sent ripples through the entire scientific community. The remains were confirmed to be 315,000 years old. Just to put that into perspective, that is over 100,000 years older than our species was supposed to even exist anywhere on Earth. Crazy, right?
The twist: mosaic anatomy. Now, the staggering age of these fossils wasn't even the most unsettling clue in this cold case. The individuals found at Jebel Irhoud were quite literally a work in progress. They exhibited what scientists formally call mosaic anatomy. It's this incredible phenomenon that gives us a real-time snapshot of the exact messy moment we were becoming ourselves, blending the archaic world and the modern world in a single body. It completely upends our human desire to neatly sort species into distinct, predictable little boxes, showing us that evolution is honestly far more of a chaotic patchwork than a straight line.
So while the faces of the Jebel Irhoud people were unambiguously modern, these were faces that honestly wouldn't look out of place sitting across from you on a crowded subway today, the backs of their skulls told a totally different, much more ancient story. Their brain cases were remarkably elongated, stretched backward, kind of shaped like a football. This is a stark contrast to the rounded, highly globular, basketball-shaped skulls that securely hold our modern brains today. So they possessed our modern face looking out at the world, but they didn't quite have our complete modern brain structure operating behind those eyes. The Pan-African cradle. This singular Moroccan discovery, located way up in the north of the continent, forced scientists to completely rethink their primary suspect for human origins. We suddenly had to toss out that long-held idea of a neat, single line of progress localized entirely in East Africa. Jebel Irhoud proved that the true cradle of humanity wasn't some specific hidden valley or an isolated region. The cradle was literally the size of an entire continent. Early humans weren't just staying put, they were nomadic, constantly walking across the vast, sweeping expanses of the African landscape.
Because of this, our history is actually a deeply tangled Pan-African web. We're talking about different populations constantly splitting apart, adapting to new terrains, merging back together, and interbreeding over thousands and thousands of generations.
This evolutionary web is so mind-bogglingly complex that by using advanced computer modeling of modern African genomes, researchers have actually identified what they call ghost populations. These are the phantom branches in our deep family tree, mysterious ancient lineages that evolved in total unrecorded isolation for millennia, before eventually, and surprisingly, reconnecting to share their unique genetic material with our direct ancestors. It proves that our very DNA is a living, breathing archive, just packed to the brim with the genetic secrets of ancient, unrecognized cousins that we absorbed along the way.
The accomplice: climate. Now, you might be wondering how these various human populations became so profoundly isolated from one another in the first place, to create those distinct evolutionary branches. Well, Africa 300,000 years ago was a world of wild, unpredictable extremes. Driven by planetary orbital shifts known as Milankovitch cycles, the African climate violently flipped roughly every 20,000 years. During these incredible green Sahara periods, the barren desert transformed into a lush, vibrant savanna dotted with megalakes. I mean, picture hippos and massive crocodiles thriving in places that are now just endless scorching sand dunes. These green periods opened up high-speed continental corridors for human migration, but then the climate would relentlessly flip back to dry periods. The punishing desert returned, trapping populations and creating these isolated evolutionary islands where human biology could freely experiment with new forms in total isolation.
Hardware versus software. While a dramatically changing climate was continually molding their physical bodies, we can actually find the enduring fingerprints of their developing minds literally written in stone.
Around 320,000 years ago, exactly when the Jebel Irhoud people were alive and breathing, the clunky, heavy hand axes that had been the absolute standard hominid template for over 1,000,000 years abruptly vanished. Poof, gone. So how do you suddenly leap from a crude, basic rock to a highly specialized precision tool? The answer arrived in the form of the Middle Stone Age toolkit. These new tools were smaller, highly varied, and utilized the complex Levallois technique. What this means is the ancient toolmaker had to mentally visualize the finished, perfected tool hidden inside the raw stone before ever striking that very first blow to flake it off.
Let me be clear, this wasn't just some minor upgrade in rock napping or a slightly sharper edge. This massive leap in technology represents the true birth of abstract thought. It proves that while these early humans already possessed the physical hardware of the modern face, they were just beginning to write the complex software of the modern abstract planning brain. They were thinking ahead, visualizing the unseen, and laying down the foundational neural pathways that would eventually lead to art, complex language, and absolutely everything that makes us uniquely human today.
Mosaic of survivors. As we piece together this incredible 315,000-year-old cold case in this explainer, we are ultimately left with a profoundly humbling resolution about our own place in the natural world.
Dominance is an illusion. Permanence is a fantasy. We are not some pure, unbroken lineage marching steadily toward a preordained perfection, nor are we the inevitable, glorious endpoint of evolution. Actually, it's more like we are a beautifully scrappy mosaic of survivors. We are walking around today carrying the genetic gifts and the hard-won evolutionary cheat codes of ancient cousins we simply managed to outlast, like the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, and those incredibly resilient early pioneers of Jebel Irhoud.
You know, it's absolutely vital to remember that we've been the dominant, untouchable apex force on this planet for a mere 10,000 years. When you think about it, that is barely a fleeting heartbeat in the 300,000+ year history of our incredible species. Everything we are today, everything we have ever built, is the extraordinary culmination of struggle, endless adaptation, and sudden bursts of accidental genius. Our survival was built entirely on the unbreakable resilience of ancient people who somehow survived evaporating Saharan lakes, advancing, crushing ice sheets, and who simply refused, against all odds, to let the fire go out. So I'll leave you with this final thought to carry with you. When you look back at that 315,000-year-old reflection in the Moroccan dirt, how does it truly change your understanding of who you are? Sleep well tonight knowing that you are the universe, looking back at a brother in the dirt. And if this deep time journey moved you, keep looking closely and keep asking questions, because the rocks always remember.
If you enjoyed this journey through deep time, like, share, and subscribe, and join us